4:55 a.m. on January 1st, he searched how long before a body starts to smell. At 4:58 a.m., how to stop a body from decomposing. At 5:20 a.m., he searched how to embalm a body. At 5:47 a.m., 10 ways to dispose of a dead body if you really need to. At 6:25 a.m. on the 1st, how long for someone to be missing to inherit. At 6:34 a.m. on the 1st, can you throw away body parts? At 9:29 a.m., what does formaldehyde do? At 9:34 a.m. on the 1st, how long does DNA last? At 9:59 a.m., can identification be made on partial remains? At 11:34 a.m., dismemberment and the best ways to dispose of a body. At 11:44, how to clean blood from wooden floor. At 11:56 on the 1st, luminol to detect blood. At 1:08, what happens when you put body parts in ammonia? At 1:21 p.m., is it better to throw crime scene clothes away or wash them?
And that, peeps, is the continuing case of Brian Walsh. I brought that up specifically, A, because Stingy asked for it, but B, because there was supposed to be a hearing yesterday, just so that everyone's aware. The pre-trial conference has been pushed because the prosecution is asking for additional time to receive some new DNA evidence. I kind of feel like that case may be a slam dunk, but I can understand why they want the extra time. In the meantime, people, how are you doing? Welcome to today's episode of Law News and Laughter. Obviously, the big ticket item is going to be the arrest of Donald Trump in Atlanta, but we're going to have a look at a few other things. We've got SpaceX being sued by the Biden administration for apparently not hiring any illegal immigrants. We're going to look at that lawsuit, which was filed on Thursday. We're going to look at a raccoon breaking into a church. We're also going to look at one of the most stupid long-distance relationship agreements I've ever seen. I didn't realize that these were so prolific as what they actually are. You can actually buy templates for them online. You can change them to say whatever you want. This one, however, this one took the cake. So let's get stuck into it, shall we, people? Where's a new hat? I have to go into work later, and I've been told that I cannot salvage my hair after the hat. So we'll see whether or not I decide to wear it. But in the meantime, let's get stuck into it. Welcome to Law News and Laughter, people. Knew it was going to happen. Knew there was going to be some boomerang. This is what happens when I take a few days off to try and get my office in order. I forget how to friggin' stream. Now, I just want to mention something here. Jim Satala asking, how many bloomin' onions did I smuggle back to the homeland? None! It was disgusting! I will happily deride Outback Steakhouse to the ends of the earth. As I said during my little bit of a review, shall we say, of them, just enough authenticity to fool someone that's never actually been to Australia. Same as American mainstream media. It was not okay. When an Aussie is boomerang, is that a boomerang? Well, I'm the dummy that went to Outback. Yeah, because I felt compelled to, and I felt that it was necessary, so. Did I make the intro? Yes, I did. I made the intro. I do want to give props. I do now have an editor who is making me look even better at certain things. That Outback food looked horrible. It was not great. The inside of the steak was cooked properly. I will give them that. The outside had been charred to the point where it was leather. Just no. Okay, so let's get stuck into this, shall we? We have a little bit to go on, and we have some time to kill because we're following the arrest, but that won't be until some sources are saying 7, some are saying 7:30. Point is, after he's booked in, he's going to be doing an interview with Newsmax, so we're hopefully going to be picking up on that. The cook was 19, quite possibly. Never been to Australia, but just assume it's all kangaroos, stray cats, and the occasional giant spider. It's not the occasional giant spider. So there's that. Alright, let me reload this and see exactly where the images have gone. For some reason that's not working, but okay, we'll just get stuck into it. Alright, okay. No, that is the wrong thing. Where is my custom layout? There is my custom layout. There we go. Alright, the feds sue Elon Musk's SpaceX for allegedly shunning refugees and asylum seekers, because apparently it's now wrong to just want people eligible to actually work in the country to be hired by the company. Wait, what was that? Guessing 2:14. Okay. Before I forget, we're getting an early morning for us show tomorrow. Maybe. We'll see. Oh, you mean the after party? Probably. Keep an eye out, but yes, I would expect so. Anyway, alright. Feds sue Elon Musk SpaceX for allegedly shunning refugees and asylum seekers. The Biden administration has sued Elon Musk-owned rocket and satellite company SpaceX on Thursday for allegedly discriminating against asylum seekers and refugees in hiring. Just gonna put it out there. If you're escaping from another country, the odds of you being a rocket scientist are pretty slim, I would expect. That may sound racist, that may sound any sort of isms, whatever. I just kind of feel like if you're important enough that you're able to contribute to a space program, there's a good chance that you've already been arrested in the country that you're trying to flee. Just saying. The lawsuit alleges that from at least September 2018 through to May 22, SpaceX routinely discouraged asylees and refugees from applying and refusing to hire or consider them because of their citizenship status, in violation of the Immigration and Nationality Act, the Justice Department said in a statement. How the fuck does that work? Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot about the deadly snakes. Why would Elon want to hire illegals in the first place? That's a damn good question. Okay. Oh, I've also got to try and cut back on swearing. Got to remember to do that. In job postings and public statements over several years, SpaceX wrongly claimed that under federal regulations known as export control laws, SpaceX could only hire US citizens and lawful permanent residents, sometimes referred to as green card holders, the DOJ added. Okay, so maybe they've put the wrong things in the ad. I'll be interested to see exactly what the actual lawsuit says. The laws bar foreign persons from being given access to export-controlled items without the approval from the State Department or Department of Commerce, but permit US persons, including citizens, residents, refugees, and asylum seekers, according to the lawsuit. Jose can be a rocket scientist, foreigners can be whatever they want in America. Yeah, no worries, Mandy. Hope things are travelling well. I know it's a rough time for you at the moment. Immigrants had virtually no chance of being fairly considered or hired for a job at SpaceX, the lawsuit states, saying the company's hiring practices were routine, widespread, and long-standing, and harmed asylees and refugees. I'm struggling to see a problem so far. I'm just saying. I mean, it's entirely up to an individual company to hire and fire exactly whoever they want. That's why I have so many issues with the, the Equal Opportunity Act here in Victoria. What do they call it? Affirmative action hires or diversity hires. 9 times out of 10, all they do is harm the company. Why should I waste my hard-earned cash on employing someone that I do not believe is the best person for the job? Can you build and maintain a rocket? See. He's just not following employment law. He did this with Twitter also, was fined a bunch of money for it. Oh, is that right? Anyone who had the skills to actually work at SpaceX would have gotten in on a visa and not have to illegally enter. So what's the issue here? That he's not hiring asylum seekers to be janitors? Is that not stereotyping? The lawsuit cited a... fuck. Oh, damn it. I really hate the New York Post's website. The lawsuit cited a June 2020 post on X, formerly called Twitter, by CEO Musk to his then 36 million followers that said US law requires at least a green card to be hired at SpaceX, as rockets are advanced weapons technologies. Yeah, okay. And if that's not accurate, is that not honest belief? It's illegal. You can't say you're not hiring someone due to citizenship status. You have to use another reason. At an international conference in September 2016, Musk also said that SpaceX hires require special permission from the Secretary of Defense or the Secretary of State to comply with international traffic in arms regulation, the suit notes. Several recruiters also cited the law to reject applicants. Between 2018 and 2022, SpaceX hired just one asylum seeker 4 months after the Justice Department began investigating the company. Federal agencies such as NASA have awarded the company billions of dollars in contracts for communications and satellite technologies. Just further political prosecution by the Bidens, DOJ, they have been trying to get Musk for years now. That's what it seems like. I'm not refusing to hire you because you're an immigrant. I'm refusing to hire you because I can't pronounce your name. Henceforth, no one wants someone working on a rocket screaming Aloha snack bar. Okay. Federal agencies, yeah. SpaceX did not immediately respond to a request for comment on the lawsuit. Musk, a South African immigrant and naturalized US citizen himself, is in the middle of other legal battles with the federal government following his $44 billion buyout of Twitter last year. Because, that's relevant. But anyway, a judge last week accused the Tesla and former Twitter CEO of trying to cozy up to former President Donald Trump by having lawyers for the social media company deny federal prosecutors access to his account. Ooh, way to politicize it and way to say the quiet part out loud. The DOJ is worried that Musk is actually, not complying with demands by a Democratic government. I've had some fairly vocal thoughts on that. I haven't actually put out anything because that happened while we were away. But the whole Twitter not handing over Donald Trump's Twitter accounts and private messages and that sort of thing, yeah, they can go and jump in a lake for requesting that shit. Does Mexico use imperial or metric? Apparently metric. He should offer 3 positions, 1 to a North Korean, 1 to a Chinese party member, and 1 to a Russian arms dealer. See how they like that. Special counsel Jack Smith, who indicted Trump on 4 counts earlier this month for his efforts to overturn the 2020 election results, which YouTube wants us to let you know there is absolutely nothing wrong with it whatsoever. Hang on, how have I done that? Oh, there it goes. Okay. It was the best election. We had no election problems whatsoever. It was perfect. And I know that was a horrible impression. Don't at me. DC U.S. District Judge Beryl Howell held Musk's attorneys in contempt of court and fined the... Seriously? New York Post. Just a little bit of spell checking might work. Fined the company $350,000 for ignoring a search warrant prosecutors obtained for the information, and for tipping off the former president about the record's request. She also implied that Twitter's delay in responding to the request was an effort to curry favour with Trump after having booted him from the social media platform following the J6 2021 riot. Do you really give a shit, though? Like, why? The government's the one funding everything that Musk does. I should hope so. New York Post is zero. That's another New York Times. Yeah, well, we can always hope. ITAR restricts heavily on who we can hire and who we can contract with. Okay, so there we go. We've got it from actual rocket scientists saying that there is actually restrictions on who you can and can't hire in a space rocket industry. So I'm going to be curious to see the defense, because let's be perfectly honest. This was filed basically today, US time. So it's not like they've had a chance to file a defense or anything yet. But I'll keep on top of that one. The Middle Easterns are great with explosives, don't be racist. Oh dear. Okay. the US Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark, who heads the Justice Department's Office of Civil Rights, brought the SpaceX suit following an investigation by the division's Immigration and Employee Rights section. She has disparaged Musk for his immense wealth and disparaged Musk for having wealth. Communist bitch. And as president of Civil Rights Legal Group in 2020, called on the former Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey to kick Trump off Twitter for his stolen election claims, according to a review of her social media posts. Our investigation found that SpaceX failed to fairly consider or hire asylees or refugees because of their citizenship status and imposed what amounted to a ban on their hire regardless of their qualification, in violation of federal law. Clark also said SpaceX recruiters and high-level officials actively discouraged asylum seekers and refugees from seeking work opportunities at the company. True of any defense contractor, there's limitations on hiring non-citizens. What's that? For example, we have machines from a German company. Said company had to hire an American representative to service or do anything with our machines, and we cannot download software from the company. Wow. So why is the DOJ having so many issues with this? I mean, like, I feel like I'm crazy. No business can hire without being a US citizen. Someone with the right visa or green card. Did this change? Apparently, Raven. Let's actually have a look at the lawsuit and see what they're determining. If we have to look at legislation, we can. We're basically pissing time away at the moment. Let's be honest. Actually, what time is it Eastern? I gotta... 6:20. So we've got an hour. We have an hour. Okay, that's fine. The United States seeks fair consideration and back pay for asylum seekers and refugees who were deterred or denied employment. Well, it's not really back pay if they were never employed. You know, because that kind of requires an employment contract. What are they lying show corruption so blatantly and embarrass themselves on a routine basis? I wish I knew. Hey, Dork, how you doing? 6:21 EST. Thank you. Refugees and asylum seekers, by definition, come from less than desirable conditions and probably have some baggage. How many illegal immigrants work at the DOJ? It's a damn good question. Actually, what do you think would happen if the ICE showed up at the DOJ? I'd be interested. I'd be interested to see that. Okay. Lawsuit also seeks civil penalties in an amount to be determined by court and policy changes to ensure SpaceX complies with the federal non-discrimination mandate going forward. But what actually is the federal non-discrimination mandate? I actually want to see... Okay, so we've got various tweets. Okay, Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, saw his wealth surge 413%, spiking from $24.6 billion to $126.2 billion between March and November 24. 50.4 million Americans are food insecure, up from 37.2 in 2018. Yeah, what's your point? He literally runs however many successful companies. Like, there's Tall Poppy and then there's Tall Poppy. So, yeah, I'm not okay with that. Alright, let's have a look at this lawsuit, shall we? Hang on. Worked in HR at a defense company. There's some positions that require US citizenship, but not all. You can only ask if they're legally qualified for the position. Have to ask in a certain way. Yes, Mandy, Elon is a legal immigrant because he's been naturalized. Alright, let's have a look at this. United States Department of Justice, Executive Office for Immigration Review Office of the Chief Administration Hearing Officer. Why did you... How do you ask? Which river did you swim across to enter the country? Well, you know, if you like the Chinese, they're just flying into Mexico and walking across the border. So... At some point, I will also discuss the debate, and because I did watch the Tucker interview with Trump as well. We'll talk about that at some stage. Complainant. The United States of America alleges as follows. It frustrates me they're allowed to say that. Like, it shouldn't be the United States of America alleges. It should be the office of whoever. But anyway. From at least September 2018 to at least May 2022, SpaceX discriminated against asylees. Oh. Ain't that very helpful? Thank you very much for that, Michigan Space Technology, sending me a copy of the Code of Federal Regulations in relation to munitions and hiring policies. We'll have a look at that in a minute too. Every application I've ever filled out asks if I'm a US citizen. Well, there you go. From at least September 2018 to May 22, SpaceX discriminated against asylees and refugees throughout its hiring process, including during recruiting, screening, and selection in violation of the Immigration and Nationality Act. Because of their citizenship status, asylees and refugees had virtually no chance of being fairly considered for or hired for a job at SpaceX. In online postings and statements by SpaceX's CEO and other SpaceX officials and recruiters, SpaceX discouraged asylees and refugees from applying to the company by wrongly stating that SpaceX can only hire US citizens and lawful permanent residents. Now I'm curious, where is this thing in IDA that says... Of course, administration policies... Administrative policies? Nope, that's hearings... Sorry, I know this is nice and boring. This is literally just been handed to me, so I'm having a quick look over it. Maintenance of records, agreements, offshore procurement, general policies and provisions, Canadian exemptions. Of course, there's Canadian exemptions. Special comprehensive export authorization, expedited processing, exemptions, violations of penalties. Authority of Defence Security Service, no. Civil penalties, applicable orders. It's probably under the licenses, but, I mean, going through and working out foreign trade, import, export, scope of licenses, general information, general policies and processes. Oh, general policies and processes? Meh. Oh, you know, this will take me probably a good couple of hours, so I will sit and read that on my own time, I think. Literally going to try and put Peterson through a Mao struggle session? Yeah. We can talk about that at some stage, too. Doesn't Elon being African-American count to their quota? You would think. Have to have some unclassified jobs at SpaceX. It's too expensive to get security clearances for everyone employed there. Look, quite possibly. But I mean, it really does depend on what was being advertised. As to those asylees and refugees who did apply for jobs at SpaceX, the company failed to fairly consider or refuse to hire them based on their citizenship status. Can you prove that that is the only reason that the people were denied the position? SpaceX's discriminatory hiring practices were routine, widespread, long-standing, and harmed asylees and refugees. The complainant, through the Immigration and Employee Rights Section, an office within the Civil Rights Division of the United States Justice Department, brings this action to enforce the anti-discrimination provision in Title 8, Section 1324B to stop SpaceX's discriminatory practices and seek relief for the victims of discrimination. Okay, now I'm curious as well on that. Okay, Title 8, Section 1324B, Unfair Migration-Related Employment Practices. General rule, it is an unfair immigration-related employment practice for a person or other entity to discriminate against any individual other than an unauthorized alien, as defined in Section 1324A(h)(3) of this title, with respect to the hiring or recruitment or referral for a fee of the individual for employment or the discharge of discharging an individual from employment because of their national origin or because of a protected... What? In the case of a protected individual, because of such individual status. Exemptions: a person or other entity with three or fewer employees. Person or entity's discrimination because of an individual's nation of origin if the discrimination with respect to that person or entity or that individual is covered under Section 703 of the Civil Rights Act. Discrimination because of citizenship status, which otherwise is required in order to comply with law, regulation, or executive law, or required by federal, state, or local government contract, or which the Attorney General determines to be essential for an employer to do business with the agency or department of a federal, state, or local government. I kind of feel like that one that right there would apply when you're talking about missiles and spacecraft, but, you know. Shifting around like Chuck E. Cheese animatronics. Well, it happens. Alright, back to this. Okay. Don't really care about... do I care about the jurisdiction? I think I care about the jurisdiction. IER has the authority to initiate investigations where there's reason to believe that an employer is violated or is violating Title 8. They also have the authority to bring action to ensure compliance with the statute. Whoa! We have a membership thing. Guess they should sue all contractors who work on secret military projects. There are country of origin restrictions preventing the hiring of people. It would make sense. On May 29, 2020, based on having a reason to believe that discrimination could be occurring, they opened an independent investigation into whether or not SpaceX was engaging in any pattern or practice of discrimination in violation of Title 8 and requested information documents related to the investigation. On August 13, 2020, they reiterated to SpaceX that it had initiated an investigation into whether or not SpaceX was engaging in a pattern of practice or discrimination based on citizenship or immigration status. Contracts with NASA and the Air Force? Yeah, I would think so. SpaceX failed to provide documents responsive to IER's investigative requests, and IER sought and obtained a subpoena from the Office of the Chief Administrative Hearing Officer. On December 1, 2020, the Chief Administrative Law Judge Gene C. King denied SpaceX's petition to modify or revoke the subpoena. IER then applied to the District Court for the Central District of California for an order requiring SpaceX to comply with the subpoena. On June 30, 2021, a district judge adopted a magistrate's report and recommendation enforcing the subpoena, and SpaceX produced the required documents on August 3. On November 30, IER notified SpaceX that they had concluded its independent investigation and found reasonable cause to believe that SpaceX had engaged in a pattern or practice of unfair immigration-related employment practices. The complainant files complaints under with the court pursuant to Title 8, jurisdiction, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Quite literally, if he'd hired illegals, then they would have been suing him for illegal stuff. Yeah. Like, that's the whole thing about this that just, like, stinks the high hole. Asylees and refugees are migrants to the United States who have fled their home countries due to a well-founded fear of persecution. Yes, but as I have said on multiple times, if you are an asylee or a refugee, you are here to experience the best parts of our country. Don't bring the worst parts of yours with you. Once they are granted asylee or refugee status by the US government, they have an indefinite permission to live and work in the United States. Do they? Okay. Included a copy of the Refugee and Asylee Handbook for Employers, apparently, because that's important. Lawful permanent residents also have permission to live and work in the United States permanently. They are issued permanent resident cards, colloquially known as green cards. Asylees and refugees are not issued green cards. In 1986, Congress amended the INA to prohibit employment discrimination based on the status of citizenship or national origin, amongst other things in hiring. Under Title 8, the United States citizens and nationals, asylees, refugees, and certain lawful permanent residents, including those who actually hold these statuses or are perceived to hold them, are protected from discrimination in hiring based on citizenship status unless the discrimination is required in order to comply with a law, regulation, executive order, government contract, or determination by the Attorney General. I'm going to laugh so hard if the DOJ doesn't realise that there are certain military contracts in place that would prevent SpaceX from hiring these people. That will be funny. What about the turd apart from the complaint form? I'm pissed off bad. Yes, Angel, and thank you for being a member for 4 months. I'm not talking about Amber Heard right now. I'm just not. There are too many irons in the fire right now for me to let anything slip. Let's just say it's not the end. It's not about illegals, just legal immigrants. Don't confuse it. I'm not so sure that's the case, Coke Fairy. Yes, they do. Asylum is a legal status. They can apply for jobs that don't require US citizenship. Yeah. They would be exempt for any enrolled project for hiring one person that was not a citizen in the building based on contract status. I know I've submitted applications for them. Well, there you go. Key sentence was once granted. Most have a court date way out in the future and hence no right. Means it... where are we? Those who hold status is perceived to hold them, blah, blah, blah. Means generally an employer cannot deter applicants, refuse to fairly consider them, or reject them for a job based on their citizenship or immigration status. Citizenship status discrimination is prohibited during all stages of the hiring process, including recruiting, screening candidates, interviewing, and ultimately deciding who to hire. Applicants are entitled to equal, fair, and impartial consideration for employment. When employers fail to fairly consider workers based on their citizenship or immigration status, the workers' qualifications are irrelevant as to a question of liability. Okay, here we go. SpaceX designs, manufactures, and launches advanced rockets and spacecraft. Companies like SpaceX are subject to export control laws and regulations, including the International Traffic in Arms regulations, which Michigan Space Technologies was nice enough to just email me, and the Export Administration Regulation. ITAR and EAR, I can't say EA, it's just going to annoy the hell out of me, restrict an employer's ability to export certain goods, software, and technology and technical data referred to as export-controlled items. SpaceX officials have repeatedly said publicly that it can only hire US citizens and lawful permanent residents because of export control laws and regulations like the ITAR. Wait, what's that? Can we please get an Aussie audio book recording of H.P. Lovecraft's The Ballad of Black Tom in his scariest voice, accent included? You actually think in any way, shape, or form I could do a scary voice? The best I can do is cute koala. Okay. Oh, which also reminds me, as that was a green super chat, we've had a few... Oh, Iowa, sorry. Missed that one too. Not first, not late. Good to see you. Guys, starting from the 1st of next month, the top... Actually, you know, because I'll cut this out, so I'll make myself big for this. Starting from the 1st of next month, the top 4 super chatters of each month, I'm going to start having virtual drinks with. So, guys, if it's something you're interested in, just make sure that you keep on top of it, because when the 30th or the 31st of each month rolls around, I'm going to be sitting down and tallying and sending out StreamYard links so that we can have... And it doesn't necessarily have to be live. We can take a vote, whether or not people want it to be live or not. But basically, those of you that spend the money will get to spend a bit of extra time with me. So, alright, where are we? Okay. ITAR restricts an employer's ability. SpaceX officials have repeatedly said publicly that they can only hire US citizens. This makes sense to me. But export control laws and regulations do not prohibit or restrict employees from hiring asylees or refugees. Those laws treat asylees and refugees just like US citizens. I would be interested to hear... Michigan Space Technologies weigh in on that, because is that a legitimate statement or not? Under the ITAR and EAR, damn it, US persons working for a US company can access export-controlled items without authorization from the US government. A US person under the ITAR and EAR includes a US citizen or national, a lawful permanent resident, a refugee, or an asylee. In contrast, a foreign person, anyone who is not a US person under the ITAR and EAR, may need authorization from the federal government to access export-controlled items. For a foreign person employee to access export-controlled items, their employer must apply to the US State Department or or the US Department of Commerce and obtain approval. So basically what they're saying is it's okay if you have to jump through extra red tape. It's not a reason to not hire somebody. Extra red tape is not a reason to not hire somebody. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that, to be perfectly honest. I would, but I'm on the run from kidnapping and murder, so I can't show my face. It worries me that you're serious about that. Isn't the cost of shipping from Oz to the US very high? Yes, which is why my merch gets shipped from the US, because I'm not a moron. I would only hire a US citizen if my business deals with the ITAR products. Yeah. 12-month membership, 1 free Aussie merch. Sure, why not? I was a member of Aussie's channel for 12 months and all I got was this lousy shirt. Have to pretend it's not the reason, the extra red tape and the cost. Elon just doesn't care enough to pretend. Well, SpaceX regularly conducts export compliance assessments and a process to check whether or not new or existing workers require authorization to access export-controlled items. During this process, new and existing workers identify their citizenship or immigration status and present documentation proving their citizenship or immigration status to show whether they are a US person or a foreign person. I want to know if the definitions of US person and foreign person under the ITAR and EIA are the same as certain other things. Rose is almost there. Sure you could, but you lose out on 90% of the government projects and 10% you can access at a high liability. SpaceX has huge contracts with the government. Okay. Despite SpaceX's claims, ITAR and EIA do not contain employment or hiring restrictions. They do not require employers to limit jobs based on citizenship or immigration status. No, but if the legislation does not specifically outline it, but it's constructive within the boundaries of it, that's splitting hairs and you damn well know it. Do you have shirts with a picture of you in a Speedo? It's the only way I'll buy you merch. No, I'm not Obama. No one needs that unleashed upon the world. What about the Aussies? Angel, message me on Discord. I'll post you something personally. Alright. They do not prohibit employers from hiring asylees or refugees. Thus, it does not create an exception to hiring discrimination under Title 8. On June 16, 2020, SpaceX's CEO, who had approximately 36 million followers on X, a social media platform formerly known as Twitter, posted US law requires at least a green card to be hired at SpaceX, as rockets are advanced weapon technology. Imagine Hayden meeting all the OG members and taking them for a walk around the outback. It could happen, maybe, if people wanted to make the trip. Homeland Security will step in. He doesn't want the tech to go to Space Y in China. He's paid a lot for that tech. What about a vintage Law Patrol t-shirt? Hell no. Law Patrol is dead and buried. With the Paw Patrol. Similarly, in an online video at an international space conference in September 16, SpaceX's CEO stated that SpaceX had to comply with ITAR, which meant that a normal work visa is insufficient to work at SpaceX unless the company can obtain special permission from the Secretary of Defense or the Secretary of State. Isn't that literally what I just read? Hang on, didn't they say that the red tape required foreign person can access, but they must apply for... So it comes down to what's the definition of a US person versus a foreign person as to whether or not his tweet was accurate. If he legitimately believed at the time that a US person is someone that has actual citizenship and has a green card, I don't see an issue with that. Frankly, I feel like that's the way that it should be anyway. Is Elon going to copyright claim the letter X? I would hope not. Work on US military aircraft owned by another country. ITAR only allowed US, the country's citizens, and other countries that have the same aircraft to work on the aircraft I work on. Yeah, see, wouldn't say specifically whether or not we would hire non-citizens, but Elon is in the right here. Special mission. He then added that SpaceX is not allowed to hire people who don't have a green card, and then unless you can somehow get a green card, we were legally prevented from hiring anyone. The video has been viewed more than 10.6 million times on YouTube. Elon should change the name of Tesla to Tesla X. Okay, in a video from 2012, SpaceX's CEO, when describing how to get a job at SpaceX, it's quite difficult for us to employ people that don't have a green card because of US ITAR rules. He added that his first advice to non-US citizens who wanted to work at SpaceX would be do anything you can to get a green card. Okay, let's break this down. It's quite difficult for us to employ people who do not have a green card because of US ITAR rules. The company believes that they're working within the rules. They believe that it is difficult for them to employ someone as a result of the rules. How is this an issue? And suggesting to someone that they get a green card? Yeah, I don't really see an issue with that. If you ain't from here, you're a foreigner. That applies globally. Yeah. What was that? Precious SpaceX, but not BlackRock or Halliburton. I'm shocked. X thing is weird to hear or get used to, but it was expected due to his space things. Well, I mean, he's wanted to call the company X ever since PayPal, so... And that was, what, a decade and a half ago? Other SpaceX officials made similar public statements. For instance, the Vice President of Human Resources stated in an online chat forum in 2016, to comply with US government space technology export regulations, including the ITAR, applicants must generally be US citizens or lawful permanent residents. Okay. It's solely an issue because of Musk? Yeah. Musk's bodyguard's called the X-Men. God, I hope so. If not, someone needs to tweet at him. Staff at SpaceX's headquarters in Hawthorne, California oversee the implementation of the uniform hiring policies, including those related to recruiting, screening, interviewing, and extending offers to job applicants. SpaceX recruits and hires individuals to fill a wide variety of positions at the company, including welders, cooks, crane operators, information technology specialists, software engineers, dishwashers, business analysts, rocket engineers, marketing professionals, baristas, and more. I love how they've tried to make it so friggin' broad that they're just throwing in, okay, so you've got software engineers, you've got dishwashers, you've got business analysts, you've got baristas. That's a dick move, DOJ. I'm just saying. I know exactly why you've worded that way, to put in front of a judge. That's a dick move, in my opinion. The Elon Musk porno would be called Triple X. And star Vin Diesel. Many positions at SpaceX require access to export-controlled items. SpaceX engages in nationwide recruitment efforts and hosts and attends a variety of career fairs, such as the university career fairs, to attract, intern, and new graduate applicants. SpaceX employees routinely engage in online recruiting by posting job adverts and engaging virtually with job candidates on online forums, including LinkedIn, Monster, Indeed, Handshake, Piazza, Stack Overflow, Reddit. You know that Elon's got a Reddit account. He just has to. I don't even want to know what it'd be. It'd be like... veteran recruiter, Airtable, and Brazen. SpaceX hiring managers also routinely engage in recruiting and hiring efforts by discussing their roles at SpaceX with potential candidates, advertising open positions, and evaluating candidates. From November 14 through to November 20, a manager of technical recruiting at SpaceX and other SpaceX recruiters regularly told job applicants that, with a few exceptions, SpaceX is only able to hire US citizens or lawful permanent residents due to ITAR. Don't forget Ice Cube, that was a thing. True. Forgot all about Ice Cube. You got receptionists, you got cooks, you got hookers, you got engineers. Sorry, Juan, we know you're from Mexico, but you're legal. We got to hire Pedro over here. He jumped the wall. We found him outside Home Depot. Oh, that is both hilarious and terrible. From September 2018 to at least May 22, they posted at least 14 public announcements, job adverts, and online recruiting communications, stating that SpaceX can only hire US citizens and lawful permanent residents due to ITAR. For example, on September 21, 2020, a SpaceX University recruiter participated in a Georgia Institute of Technology career fair chat forum titled SpaceX Full-Time and Internship/Co-op, with approximately 719 participants. In it, he announced that due to US export compliance regulations, SpaceX can only offer employment to US citizens or lawful permanent residents. See, now we're splitting hairs. Because they're literally saying that an individual who has been granted asylum is not a lawful permanent resident. When we know, I really don't like the wording on these. Trump's plane's approaching Atlanta now. Oh, what time is it? 6:50. Okay. Alright. Which reminds me, I should send a link out to my local political pundit, just so I can make sure that... if they're available anyway. From at least 2018, September 2018 to May 2020, SpaceX's job application required candidates to identify their citizenship or immigration status by selecting one of the following options: US citizen or national of the United States, US lawful permanent resident, refugee under Title 8, asylee under Title 8, or other. From at least September 19 to May 22, SpaceX tracked job applications using a database that allowed recruiters and hiring managers to see applicants' self-identified citizenship and immigration status and reject job candidates by using a variety of rejection codes, including not authorized to work / ITAR ineligible. That's just stupid. Like, I can understand what's going on here. It sounds like they genuinely think that refugees and asylees are ineligible to work because of something to do with this ITAR thing. And I really am going to have to actually read through it and see if I come to the same conclusion. Put differently, SpaceX's own hiring records show that SpaceX repeatedly rejected applicants who identified as asylees or refugees because it believed they were ineligible to be hired due to ITAR. So I showed up late. Just want to make sure I'm understanding this. The DOJ is suing SpaceX for not hiring illegals, federal felons. No, what they're suing them for is for advertising that they can't hire individuals who are asylees or refugees that may or may not be felons, I suppose. The asylum claims are an absurd end around the law and what it was intended for. Funny how there's another country racing the moon right now and all of a sudden this gets slapped on Elon. That isn't weird at all. Yeah, I know, right? I mean, congratulations to the Indians for landing on the moon. I think. It may have been faked. We don't know. There could be a... what am I calling it? There could be a movie set somewhere in Mumbai where it's been faked. We don't know. Don't strike me for that, YouTube. I'm just saying. Closed India. Okay, where are we? So they reckon that their own records show that they were discriminating against people. For example, on or about August 27, 2021, a recruiter rejected an asylee applicant with the code not authorized to work, ITAR ineligible, and told the applicant SpaceX could not hire him because he was not a US citizen or lawful permanent resident, despite the fact that the hiring manager had noted that the applicant had impressive experience listed. Saw a meme that I laughed at that I'm going to hell for. It showed a 7-Eleven on the moon and said that was fast. Thank you, come again. India found the old set. Yeah, it was in a dumpster. Because, half the trash gets transported around the world. Most importantly, the vast majority of asylum seekers crossed through the safe country Mexico before entering the US, therefore their claims are invalid. Disclaimer, creator is not claiming anything false or not true, just another possibility. Yep. Fair enough. Okay. On another occasion, a recruiter used the code not authorized to work for ITAR to reject someone who had more than 9 years of relevant engineering experience and graduated from Georgia Tech University. Maybe they used that because they just didn't want to hire someone that they didn't click with. From at least September 2018 to May 22, officials repeatedly used other rejection codes that appeared to be neutral, such as does not meet basic qualifications or does not meet preferred qualifications, to reject self-identified asylees and refugees. Whether the rejection was because of their citizenship or immigration status. Prove it. Show in the records where it's not because they don't meet the basic qualifications or they do not meet the preferred qualifications. If there is a legitimate reason why that person could be rejected otherwise, those claims are irrelevant. That's why I hate this sort of shit. I mean, if there is asylum seekers, then they're not approved for asylum, so unless they have some sort of emergency authorization to enter the country, they are by definition federal felons. On June 22, 2020, a senior recruiter rejected an asylee applicant using the code does not meet preferred qualification, and a hiring manager listed the reason as not a US citizen or green card. Okay. SpaceX officials repeatedly made explicit reference to asylee or refugee applicants' citizenship or immigration status as the basis for refusing them, such as non-ITAR candidate, not USC or green card, doesn't meet ITAR, doesn't meet US resident requirement. From at least 2018 to May 2022, SpaceX rejected applicants, for at least some of whom were qualified, who identified as asylees or refugees based on the citizenship or immigration status. According to data at SpaceX... there you go, Dazzler, data. SpaceX provided to the federal government from September 1, 2018 to September 30, 2020, SpaceX hired only US citizens and lawful permanent residents. Again, the way Hayden is moving and looking around, I'm convinced some Aussie AI while Aussie is actually outside cooking a barbecue. I have no idea if I left the eye tracking on. If I did, I do apologise. At least part of me is AI, or at least some of it is when I do... Hang on, have I got it on? I do have it on. How dare they not hire lawful permanent residents? The nerve. I know, right? Claim of passing through another country and validating asylum claims is true per DHS standards. They're just unfortunately often ignored. According to SpaceX data, out of more than 10,000 hires, they hired only one individual who was an asylee and identified as such on the application. SpaceX hired this asylee approximately 4 months after the IER notified the company of its investigation. From September 2018 to May 22, SpaceX did not hire any individuals who were refugees and identified such in their applications. I think this is fucking bullshit. I don't think it should be a discrimination issue in, like... I've always said this. Irrespective of whatever laws are in place, I genuinely believe that a privately run company or business has every right to hire or fire whoever the fuck they want on the basis that they are the best person for the job. I do not believe in diversity hires. I do not believe in filling quotas. All that ultimately does is harm the business, harm the company, and ultimately the economy that it's within. I'm sorry, I think it is fucking bullshit to be forced to hire somebody on a basis that you do not approve of. Calling John Connor. Isn't John Connor dead after the last one? He's even using his right hand to stroke the goatee. The real Aussie does it, never does it. I always stroke the goatee with the right hand, don't I? No, hang on, is it the left? Maybe it is the left. Huh. Okay. Count 1. Pattern of discrimination. Alright, so we're not very far. Good. Complainant incorporates by reference the allegations set forth in paragraphs 1 through 53 as if set out herein. SpaceX's standard operating procedure beginning no later than September 2018 to continuing through to at least May 22 was to intentionally discriminate against individuals who were or whom SpaceX perceived to be asylees or refugees based on citizenship status at various stages of the hiring process, including during recruiting, screening, and selection, by discouraging them from applying to the company, making and posting facially discriminatory statements indicating that SpaceX can only hire US citizens and lawful permanent residents. It really should be like that anyway. Failing to fairly consider those who did apply for employment, and refusing to hire those who were qualified applicants. By routinely communicating its policy of hiring to only US citizens and lawful permanent residents due to ITAR, SpaceX intended to exclude individuals who were or who SpaceX perceived to be asylees and refugees from the applicant pool from consideration and from hire based on their citizenship status. SpaceX discriminated against individuals who were or whom perceived to be asylees and refugees based on their citizenship or immigration status by deterring them from applying, categorically excluding them from consideration, and or failing to fairly consider or hire them. SpaceX's actions constitute a pattern or practice of discrimination prohibited under Title 8 against applicants who self-identify as asylees and refugees. At least some of the applicants who self-identified as asylees and refugees, and whom SpaceX subjected to its pattern or practice of discrimination prohibited under Title 8, were qualified for the positions that they sought. Just because you're qualified does not mean you're going to get hired. It does not. Just because you have the qualifications does not mean you are the best person for the job. Keep winning computers until it tells us where the real Hayden is. They hired Chandler Holson. Asylees and refugees who would have applied to SpaceX positions but for the discriminatory practices had a real and present interest in working for SpaceX, but were deterred from applying because of SpaceX's discriminatory practices. No law, regulation, executive order, provision of federal, state, or local government contract, or Attorney General determination justifies SpaceX's pattern or practice of hiring discrimination against asylees. So, what are they actually after? Here's the request for relief. Administrative Law Judge assigned the proceeding, grant the following relief. Order SpaceX to cease and desist from illegal practices described in the complaint and to take affirmative steps to address illegal practices, including any and all relief provided under Title 8. Order SpaceX to pay an appropriate civil penalty as determined by the Administrative Law Judge for each individual discriminated against. That's big. Paying the appropriate civil penalty. Hang on. How much is that? Where are we? Civil penalty. Determinations. Limitation of back pay. Awarding of attorney's fees. Investigation shows private actions, time limit on complaints. There's no time limit. Excuse me. Oh, okay, it could be worse. Not less than $250, but not more than $2,000 for each individual discriminated against. Okay, so if we go back... they're going to try and go back to 2016, so... all it really takes is, 100 people. So, a couple $100,000 in fines, maybe. Musk is right that he can't hire non-citizens. The Dems are just trying to get back at Musk for stealing their non-free speech platform. Civil Rights Act does not cover commies, so discriminate against those idiots at your leisure. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. We also have something similar. We had the Communist Party Dissolution Act, which I thought was interesting. Okay. Provide fair consideration to each applicant who identified as an asylee or refugee, but was improperly screened out or rejected, or who was based on citizenship status. Sorry, I've just realised that Trump's landed, so I just want to hurry up and get through this now. Order SpaceX to hire applicants who are victims of discriminatory practices alleged in this complaint and qualified for employment. That they need to fuck right off. You can't force someone to affirmatively enter into a contract with somebody. That's... Well, I mean, you can if there's specific performance, but in this case, this is... No. No. Order SpaceX to pay back pay, including interest and other relief available to each individual discriminated against who was qualified and who would have suffered uncompensated or lost wages due to denied or delayed employment as a result of the discriminatory practices alleged in this complaint, and such order as the justice may require. So there's that. It's going to be interesting. I'm very much looking forward to seeing exactly what SpaceX comes back with in terms of their defense. If they manage to drill down and find a clause in ITAR that supports their position, I would say good on them. I'm not happy with what's required in this... Sorry, what they're seeking in this prayer for relief. I think that there is some serious overburdening and arduous requirements here. And if the judge does go with that, I think it'll be showing political bias, in my own personal opinion. So... But, in any case, I'm going to pull this one down because I'm a moron. That's gone and happened. So, guys, I would like to welcome to the stage my very own political pundit, the mightiest of meats. G'day, buddy.
What's up, buddy? How you doing, man?
I'm loving where you're standing on the podium today. That is great. And I can see here we have Air Force Trump has landed.
Yeah, he just landed, so just watch him come in. So, should be non-eventful. I mean, they're gonna, do the mugshot. I don't know if you've seen the other 9. But...
I've seen them. Hang on. Where are we?
I am in the oral office.
Where are we? So that's the... Yeah. So those are the mugshots that we've got of the 9 so far. They range from severely pissed off to, haha, you're going to look like morons when this is thrown out. So, I do particularly love this chick here. Oh, no, that chick there. Because she's just loving it.
That's Jenna Ellis.
Jenna Ellis, okay. This guy... I don't want to disparage or defame anybody, but I'm getting mild serial killer vibes. But, anyway. Okay. So, tell me this, because, I mean, we for the most part, I think everybody at this stage, because like 217 million people have watched the Tucker and Trump interview. What do you actually think is going to occur today? I mean, obviously, he's going in to be arrested because of... I still can't believe her name's Fanny. Oh my god.
Fanny Willis. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be interesting. I think we've had some strong words come out about the mugshot and the proper booking procedures. They're going to go through it just as if he was anybody else. There was talk about them holding him without bail. I don't think for a second you're going to get that, especially with the Secret Service, but it's going to be interesting to see what exactly happens here. So
yeah, I mean, look, I made the comment a couple of days ago because we've seen that something similar is happening in Pakistan at the moment. The opposition leader and some of his cabinet ministers from when he was in power and that sort of thing, they've all been arrested as political criminals, basically, at this stage. Bail has apparently been set at 200,000.
Oh,
what do you reckon, 10% or in full? I don't think he's going to have any sort of an issue.
No, I don't think so either. But so if we take it on its face, should he be? I mean, if we're gonna be objective, should he be held without bail? He has the ability to leave. So,
well, see, here's the thing. I mean, if we were doing this for anybody else, and let's be perfectly honest, if this was anybody else who was not a political, if this was in no way political, if this was purely just someone that owned a shit ton of money, okay, So let's take it and say, okay, imagine this was Bill Gates or this was Elon Musk. Without a question, I'd be saying that if there was a serious crime, they should be absolutely being held without bail because they are a flight risk, or at the very least, they need to have their passports removed or whatever. But I mean, it's not that difficult to get on a private plane and disappear. I mean, or
Right.
if you're like a drug dealer here in Australia, hide in a boat and try and disappear to Greece.
I think his
Yes.
passport is already revoked. I could be incorrect on that, but I believe they've already revoked his passport. So, with the
Okay.
first one.
Then I kind of feel like there's probably no need to hold him without bail then. I think this is more of a case of the man does know his brand. Of course he does. I mean,
Yeah.
it's literally Air Force Trump. Like, I think that's the call sign, isn't it? When it flies around, I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But I think the problem that I have here is the charges, because I can't take them seriously. It's literally they're arresting him for questioning the 2020 election. Is effectively what it boils down to. Is what they're trying to get him on. Is my understanding, because I've heard various things from different outlets and news sources and that sort of thing. But when you boil it down, they just... And I'm pissed off about Giuliani. I really am.
Yeah.
In a civilized society, when you start arresting advocates, you're not far off dictatorship. You're not.
Yeah, and so the biggest charge here is the racketeering and organized crime, the RICO statute. And that's the one that will preclude him from office officially if he's convicted on it. So, yeah, I mean, I obviously think that, these charges are bull and probably won't stand, but there's a possibility that they could. I mean, we've seen court cases here in the United States, and they just haven't, lived up to expectations or what we thought, and juries are unpredictable. So it could be anything. So.
Okay, yeah, so where are we? I don't really want to take it off the screen because I want to actually see him come down the thing, but what's he charged with? Donald Trump's been criminally charged by the Fulton County District Attorney for his efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Prosecutors brought numerous counts against Trump and his associates, including forgery and racketeering and soliciting a public official to violate their oath of office, amongst other charges. Prosecutors charged 18 other people, including Mark Meadows, Trump's former White House chief of staff, and lawyers Rudy Giuliani and John Eastman. The charges mark the second time he's been indicted in connection with his push to overturn the will of the American voters after losing to Joe Biden in 2020. That there itself is a loaded frickin' statement.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with what is coming out in terms of, there just happen to be boxes of ballots that have miraculously appeared and things like that. I think that of itself gives credence to anyone trying to question things.
Yeah. Well,
unlike the first. Sorry.
So I did a whole thing when this came out. We read through the charges and looked through them, and some of the things are just some of the things that they're saying he falsified are just patently true, and I know they're true because they happened here in the great state of Michigan. Like, I know they happened. Like, they're provable facts. So I don't see how they can sneak under that he was lying or trying to deceive people when they're true statement. So I don't know.
Yeah. Hang on. Is that the copy of the indictment?
I have it somewhere, but I don't know where it's at. So
yeah, no,
I'll
that's
find
right.
it though.
I'll grab it here. I'll just go to the original PDF. Okay, so what have we got? So, violation of the Georgia RICO Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, solicitation of violation of oath by a public officer, false statement in writing, solicitation of violation of oath by a public officer, solicitation of violation by a public officer, false statements in writing, impersonating a public officer. That one's interesting. Count 8. Do we know what that related to? Impersonating a public officer?
So they included all 19 defendants. So
Okay.
I believe only a few of them applied to President Trump. If
Mhm.
you look in the, I don't know if you have the full indictment, but if you look in the RICO, the first charge, I believe all of them are charged. There he is, Mr.
Oh,
President.
there he is.
I don't know if there's sound to this. I wasn't listening. So, nah. But, so one of the things was, I believe it was count 22 of the RICO. Uh, it was a tweet that he sent out that said the Georgia hearings will be played live on OAN,
Mhm.
and that was it.
On
And
about
that
the
was
third day of
the correct
December
hearing.
2020, Donald J. Trump caused to be tweeted from the Twitter account at Real Donald Trump. Georgia hearings now on at OANN. Amazing. This is an overt act in the furtherance of a conspiracy.
Yep.
I'm sorry, what now?
Yeah. And so most of that indictment is the RICO, because that's the big takeaway here. They want the RICO. If they could pick one charge to nail him with, it would be that one, because it would preclude him from running in 24. So
Okay, so that's... What was that? That was... Okay, so under the charges, violation of the Georgia RICO Act, so that's Act 1, and then... Because the RICO Act's very broad, isn't it? Because that's the one that everyone's saying that Giuliani was so happy about because he used that to bring down certain mobsters or whatever. Is that correct?
yeah, yeah, it's been used a couple times. I think it's a difficult one to prove. The most notable one near me was former Detroit Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick, and he was charged under RICO and ultimately convicted. So, but I don't know a lot about it, just that specific instance, because it was local. So
Right. Okay, just because I haven't actually read through this before, I'm just going to read this quickly. So the enterprise under the RICO apparently at all times included in this count of the indictment, the defendants, as well as others not named as defendants, unlawfully conspired and endeavoured to conduct and participate in a criminal enterprise in Fulton County, Georgia, and elsewhere. Excuse me. Defendants Donald J. Trump, Rudy Giuliani, John Eastman, Mark Meadows, Kenneth Chesbrough, Jeffrey Clark, Jenna Ellis, Ray Smith III, Robert Cheeley. We all know who. I'm not going to read through 20-odd names. Screw it. And unindicted co-conspirators, individuals 1 through individuals 30, and others known or unknown to the grand jury, constituted a criminal organisation whose members and associates engaged in various related activities, including but not limited to false statements and writings, impersonating a public officer, forgery, filing false documents, influencing witnesses, computer theft, computer trespass, computer invasion of privacy, conspiracy to defraud the state, acts involving threat, and perjury. The criminal organisation constituted an enterprise, as that term is defined in the OCGA, Section 1614.3.3. That is a group of individuals associated. In fact, the defendants and other members and associates of the enterprise had connections and relationships with one another and the other enterprise. The enterprise constituted an ongoing organisation whose members and associates functioned as a continuing unit for a common purpose of achieving the objectives of the enterprise. This is pretty frickin' broad.
yeah, and the criminal enterprise is him trying to overturn the election. That's the whole linchpin of everything, is that he...
Enterprise operated in Fulton, Georgia, elsewhere in the state of Georgia and other states, including but not limited to Arizona, Michigan, Nevada, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, and the District of Columbia. The enterprise operated for a period of time sufficient to permit its members and associates to pursue its objectives. Made false statements and solicitation of state legislatures. False statement and solicitation of high-ranking state officials. Creation and distribution of false electoral college documents. Members of the enterprise created false electoral documents and recruited individuals to convene and cast false electoral college votes at the Georgia State Capitol in Fulton County. After the false electoral college votes were cast, members of the enterprise transmitted the votes to the President of the United States Senate, the Archivist of the United States, and the Georgia Secretary of State. Oh, damn, he's already on the move.
Yep.
Oh, I suppose they've got the entire highway blocked off, wouldn't
Oh yeah, for sure.
they? You just described the Democratic National Committee in the 2016 Democratic primaries. Well, that's what I'm saying. The way that this is set up is incredibly broad.
Well, and Dwayne, I was just going to bring that up too. This all hinges on the fact that Trump did not think that the election was stolen, and I think that it's been pretty clear that he's reasonably sure that there was some funny business, if nothing else, going on. So
Yeah, some of which is being made quite obvious in the news lately. So,
right. So it isn't even if the election was or was not stolen. It's just if he believes the election was stolen, and I think that's given at this point. So.
Okay. Made a televised speech falsely declaring victory in the 2020 presidential election, approximately 4 days earlier. Discussed a draft speech with an unindicted co-conspirator individual 1, whose identity is known to the grand jury, that falsely declared victory and falsely claimed voter fraud. The speech was an overt act in the furtherance of the conspiracy. For God's sakes. And the other thing is, isn't there like a isn't there like a Democratic governor or something that does this like every 4 years or so, claiming that she hasn't lost and then sues to get put back in or some shit like that?
Well, Stacey Abrams here in this great state of Georgia was one of the young ladies that has still contested the election for governor that Brian Kemp won, and she's done everything that Trump's done and more. So, and that's just in the state of Georgia. So, Democrat,
Right.
president of Earth, or something like that. I think she thinks.
Crying out loud. I can see various people in the chat. Just so you're aware, check your messages, people, because I wasn't planning on doing this one solo, thankfully. To any justice in the world, Fannie Willis will be disbarred. That ain't gonna happen. It's one of the problems that I have with privilege, is that in this instance, when you're being used as for political gains, it's enough, and that I think it's BS, honestly.
Well, the state of Georgia has convened a special session to remove her from her post to impeach her, because this is not. None of this is above board. This is all just political motivated, and I haven't seen an outcome of that. I don't know when it is, but I know that they convened an emergency special session, or are converting an emergency special session. So
As well they should, honestly.
yeah.
Because it's the other reason why I have issues with the way that prosecutors are picked for various things. I've never been okay with it being a elected position, to be honest.
Okay.
But that's just my own personal opinion on that. Shit, where are we? Hang on, sorry.
No special session. Okay. 2 lawmakers have called for it and trying to get more. Okay. Like I said, I haven't looked into it, but I saw.
I thought I read somewhere that it had been put forward, but anyway, okay.
Yeah.
Shit. All hinges on if Kemp has a spine to approve the session.
$1 million question.
Where am I? I'm missing someone here. There it is. So, I legitimately thought that said Uber then until I looked closer. Oh, far out. It's nice that we're getting this sort of like internal view as to what's happening though.
Yeah, this is a cool view. Huh.
Oh, and this just in, Arby's parent company is also reportedly set to buy Subway for $9.6 billion.
Wow.
Maybe they'll make Subway in America a little bit better.
Well, they started slicing meat fresh. That's better.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was one thing that I really got cranky about, because Subway here is actually delicious. So, okay. And see, it's all based on. Did you break Bray Wyatt died? No, mainly because I don't really give a shit about the WWE. Ooh, that's gonna set the cat amongst the pigeons.
I don't know who Bray Wyatt is. That's probably even worse. There, I'll let you off the hook.
Actually eating day-old Subway right now for breakfast because it's so damn good in Korea. Gross, Jeff. Okay, so Bray Wyatt performed under the name Bray Wyatt. He's left behind
No, of
two
course
kids.
it's real.
That's terrible.
Of course it's real. It's all real.
Hey, I never said that it wasn't real. It's not.
I didn't either, but it's not. Entertainment.
Yeah. Well, hey, so as long as it's entertaining to someone, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
God, it really annoys me that StreamYard doesn't let you bring up two screens at once.
Oh, I know, that sucks. They need to fix that.
Okay, so we've got the televised speech. So it's literally just that he was making statements contesting the results of the election. And they're trying to get him on RICO on that.
Yep.
Yeah, I really don't like their odds on this.
No, this one probably has the least chance of being successful out of any of them.
Hopefully Hell Vices. But probably to bed, knowing him.
Well, it's Thursday, so he's probably on his way to Delaware for the weekend. This is the Trump going to jail thing.
This is Trump on his way to the courthouse in Atlanta. I did send you a link, Vices. I get you've got a mouthful of Subway, but... the beach to get ice cream. Oh, God, that was terrible. It really, really was. Okay, so that's the indictment. Where's the... Unlike the federal charges filed by Jack Smith, special counsel for the Justice Department, the Fulton County case will proceed in state court. It means Trump would have less capacity to interfere with the case if he was elected president next year and could not pardon himself.
Oh, hang on.
Yeah.
You know what? You know when they set the trial date for this case is, right?
It's like the day before the election or something, isn't it?
The day before Super Tuesday, which is where all the delegates are awarded for the nomination for president, or most of the delegates, a good portion of the delegates for the nomination. So, convenient timing.
Oh, yeah. Mind you, like, every time something... I mean, I've put out tweets about this before because I love seeing this. So, because people keep updating the infographic. But every time something comes out that is bad for Biden, there's either a Trump indictment or there's something else that drops immediately after. And I kind of wish I had that infographic with me at the moment. But it's literally day after, day after. And it's always like, just to try and take the heat off Biden. So assuming it doesn't get removed to federal court, considering it's a federal election, that's a big assumption. There is that too.
And Barton St. Fanny is now pushed for October. Excuse me. That's really quick, given that she wants to try all 19 together.
That ain't gonna happen. Is she kidding me?
That's really quick. Really quick.
Yes, Angel. They are being incredibly obvious.
Mm-hmm.
When do the RICO charges get filed against the Biden crime family? Maybe when a Republican DA nuts up, maybe? Yeah, the infographic shows that within 24 hours of a Biden scandal, something big drops. Yep. Has the Supreme Court ever stepped in before the car crash, or do we have to wait till the damage is done? Unfortunately, Supreme Court, much like our courts here, are reactionary. You can't actually make an order until something is before the court. So yes, unfortunately, you do have to wait for the car crash to happen.
At least enough Secret Service brought some heat so that the Democratic Sheriff's Office does not pull any sleazy shit. Yeah, that was always why this one was interesting to me, because Sheriff's on a power trip and he really has no jurisdiction in this matter. This is the Secret Service's show, and he's going to have to deal with it. So.
Essentially accused of leading an organised crime racket in Georgia via the varied efforts of a web of people collectively to achieve the outcome of overturning the election loss. See, here's the thing, because one man's RICO is quite clearly another man's revolution when shit is going down, so...
Do you want to listen or no?
Yeah, might as well.
Okay. Did I not share? I don't have sound. Do you?
You may
have
not
sound?
have shared the audio.
I can't hear it either, though, so that's weird.
Huh. Where's, let me see if Newsmax is up.
Yeah, if you want to bring it up.
That's just the audio of the interview. And because I pulled up the articles from CNBC and MSNBC and various other places, I'm just like, I can't trust a single one of these news articles until after I watch it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
Trump arrest. Expected to surrender, but we know he's going to because he's already there.
Right. He's on his way. I can't wait for the mugshot, though.
I hope he's smiling. I do.
I hope he's holding up like a number one. Not that number one, this number.
I found a feed, but I don't want to be taking it from another small content creator. Just feels like a dick move. Live feed. 76 watching and 78 likes is voter fraud. Meh. I'm not above a little voter fraud. Why is this all from 3 weeks ago? ABC News. No.
I'm looking too. Give me.
Bloody ABC saying that they're live 24/7 and you can't click on the damn videos. Oh, here we go.
You got one.
Orange man good. See, the hilarious thing is, 15 years ago, I don't know if I would have said that. But with everything that I'm seeing coming out of the blue areas of the United States, it's I think it's needed.
Mm-hmm.
Groups state charges constituted a criminal organisation whose members and associates engage in various related criminal activities, including but not limited to false statements and writings, impersonating public officer, forgery, filing false documents, influencing witnesses, computer theft, trespass, computer invasion of privacy, conspiracy to defraud the state, acts of theft, and perjury. After the 2020 election, Trump and his allies made an aggressive but unsuccessful push to invalidate the election results in Georgia as part of an effort to overturn his defeat nationally. On January 2, 2021, Trump called Brad Raffensperger, the Republican who serves as Georgia's top elected official, and asked him to overturn the election. All I want to do is this: I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have because we won the state. That's not great wording, if I'll be honest, but...
I mean... I'm trying really hard not to be super homer.
I'm not Obama. Why is there an ambulance? Have you seen the footage of JFK? I completely understand why they have a fucking ambulance on standby just in case. Hey, meme, how you doing?
What's up, meme?
Yeah, but it'll still be interesting. And the best part is it's state, so theoretically, I mean, I know that there's been arguments over the cameras, but fingers crossed once we get to see everything. I don't think an ambulance would have saved him. No, that's fair. Well, see, that's just it, Flux. I've heard it from conflicting areas that they're trying to keep the cameras out.
Yeah, they probably wanted them in the beginning, but then they're like, oh, wait. Whole number
This won't
going
look
up.
good for us.
We don't want that.
Trump and his allies, including Giuliani, were spreading outlandish lies about the election in Georgia in order to seed doubt about the results. I'm not so sure they're outlandish anymore. We are seeing votes that are just miraculously appearing in other states.
Yep.
Look, not always. The ambulance is for the ass beating the Dems are about to catch.
Yeah, it looks like they're gonna... Looks like they're gonna keep cameras out. So. No comment.
Thank you to the 35 people watching over on Rumble. Appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you to everyone watching on YouTube. If you're watching this on Twitter, share it out there, peeps.
Definitely.
Oh, I'm sure he did. I'm positive he did. Yeah, bite me. Amateur Iconoclast's fourth turn, you just keep getting better and better. Look, is there likely to be civil war? I decline to answer pursuant to my non-existent Fifth Amendment rights, but I'd say there's a distinct possibility. I don't think they realise how hard they've pushed on this. I don't think they realise people are fed up. And either that, or I think quite a few of them are hoping on it.
Yeah, it's gonna get messy.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen to me. And it's insanity to me. It really is. I wonder if they're just going to keep showing the outside of the
Devil went down to Georgia.
Probably.
Wait, what?
I'm looking for his anything on Twitter that comes up.
Toyman99X, hello from Atlanta. Hello to you too. Look at the shit show our local DA has brought on us. Well, Toyman, you know what to do, because they're already pushing for a special session to have her removed. Get out there and get vocal about it.
Do not play that video I just sent you. It's for your own.
Oh, Jesus! Biden's embarrassing. I'm not even a US citizen. Oh, good. So it wasn't in my head that I heard that. So
Yeah.
if Trump doesn't post bail, he gets the entire prison wing to himself, and his own Secret Service detail gets to guard him. That could be interesting. Just about time to turn New York City into a penitentiary. I can't wait, honestly, because I would be fully expecting that he'll get voted in. Having watched the... Hang on, I'm just going to drop the audio on this a little bit, because it's very friggin' loud for no reason. I mean, I only caught parts of the debate last night, so I'm aware of some of the people who are running, not a lot of them. You covered it, Mighty. How did you feel about the actual GOP debate?
I felt like Fox did potentially the worst debate I've ever seen. A lot of cheap shots and a lot of just bullshit, to be honest. I think two people separated themselves from the pack officially, and I think two people ended their campaigns last night. And just my
really?
opinion,
That bad? Okay.
Yeah, I think Christie and Pence ended their campaigns last night. And
see, Pence weirds me out, because I get that he was a vice president for a while there, but for any of the Aussies that are watching, Pence to watch and to listen to reminds me very much of Bob Catter. He's very much your Curly from, like, City Slickers, but without the charisma. I would fully expect Pence to wear a cowboy hat and try and, like, garner support that way, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's a panderer.
Yeah. Bobcat who? Tupac who? Trump eyebrows 2024.
Oh yeah, Digger liked North Dakota Governor Bergram.
Okay. Pence is an NPC in a suit. And who was it that they asked the question of about UFOs? Like, how the hell did that even make it on the rotation of questions?
So that was in the lightning round, and that was probably one of the low points. My panel thought it was a low point. But
yeah, I'm inclined to agree.
It's they asked Chris Christie, and yeah, he made a joke out of it. So I just
it was
don't
Chris
like
Christie. Okay.
Yeah, I don't like Chris Christie at all. So I have a bias there, but I really like Chris Christie.
I mean, look, Chris Christie's one of the two people that I can imagine eating an entire roast chicken on a sandwich. The other one's Louis Anderson, so it's kind of like, The only smart thing Pence ever did was not... Hang on, where'd they go? Was not be alone with women who were not his wife.
Do you see the mugshot up?
The mugshot.
Yeah, I have it up.
Oh.
I'll bring up the real one when it comes up. But,
Yeah. In the meantime, we can watch. Wow, that officer is really similar to the MC at the Nerdlesque at Anime Motsuri, I'm just saying. If this guy starts kicking off his shoe, I'm changing the channel.
I saw him play though. I saw him play back in the day. I'm from New Jersey. Okay. So yeah, I've seen him play.
Heart attack waiting to happen.
Yeah. Moorhead State.
Hang his mug shot next to Frank's. Chris Christie is Mitt Romney if Mitt Romney ate another Mitt Romney. Yeah, see, Flux got it because Flux was there. Flux, where the hell are you? I sent you a link.
yeah, Flux, where are you?
Alright, where are we? I need to... Let me see what... I want to see what the Blues are saying about this. Hang on.
Oh, here's one. Why on earth do we have such a large motorcade for a twice impeached, 4-time indicted criminal private citizen? What the F is this? Well, he's a former president and he's guaranteed Secret Service protection. There you go.
Well, Flux, that would just make it all the more interesting, but anyway. So, hang on. So, who is CNN putting as the winner of the debate? Hang on.
Everything I heard was Vivek. My panel also said Vivek.
Wow, way to not give an answer.
They all lost.
Oh yeah, I don't particularly think there were any winners. Mandy wants to know what your take is if Ted Cruz runs.
Well, my take is, I think Ted's always a runner-up and doesn't have the charisma or a strong enough brand message to become the president. I would like to see whoever wants to run or can run. I think it's always better when we have competition. But I think it's Trump's race to lose, and he'll probably run away with it. So.
Okay. So, Cruz is more the bridesmaid that gets drunk and never the bride.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The debate for the vice presidency. Yeah, look, probably. That's a good way of looking at it. He is better as a senator, I will give him that.
Well, it's the same thing we talked about in depth about Tim Scott, senator from South Carolina, and I
Yep.
think he's incredibly well-spoken, but he's a politician, and it comes through, and I don't think he has a shot in hell at ever becoming commander-in-chief. I just don't. So, but he looked great last night. He just doesn't have that next gear. He doesn't have that presidential gear.
Right, okay. Okay. What the hell are they looking at? Every drone operator has a family. So check this out. So even the Australian news is currently streaming it live. Like this is Channel 9. This is one of our major news networks. It's national, and they've just got they've got it zones directly at the front thing. I was very much hoping they had some sort of commentary to give on it, though.
Yeah,
Go back to these guys because at least we can hear shit.
So, I think that the goal is to get Donald Trump not to run in 24. Donald Trump's running in 24. I have a serious amount of concern that the next step is JFK, Donald Trump. And I don't know why they haven't done it yet, but I feel like the more his poll numbers bump, the closer we are to that happening. So.
jail because he is the former president. He is flanked by Secret Service members, and it is in both sides' interest to get in and out of there as quickly as possible. Jails are always concerned about disruptions. They're always concerned about safety. And again, they're under-resourced, understaffed. This particular jail is reportedly the source of an investigation by DOJ. So it's probably like most other large county jails, an unpleasant, unsafe, inefficient place to be, unless you're the former president.
So the next guy that walks in there tonight on an unrelated charge, it's not going to be 15, 20 minutes.
He will not ride back in a motorcade 15 or 20 minutes after he gets out. He will probably sit on a cot that is maybe an inch thick.
He's there for his arrest, have his mugshot taken, and a few other things.
I've even seen photos of the Fulton County Jail.
There's talk of whether or not he'll post the bail.
Not a great place to be. Normally, you get a full health screening. I don't think he's going to get that. But of course, it really depends on what they've worked out with Secret Service.
There's a possibility
and
that he
maybe
may
even
not.
with the sheriff in advance.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we may be getting a little more on that. Laura, you've got some more of the court activity?
Yeah, it shows sort of the formal list of the charges. Again, you can see it on screen there with all of the different amounts for each of the individual charges. They break it up like that. That's standard. And again, in the top,
but they're about the only people who are getting
right-hand corner
commentary
there,
at the
you can
second.
see his race, his weight, his height, all of the standard biographical information. And you know, it just strikes me, as Danny was pointing out, there are so many differences in a case, obviously.
I tell you what, now would be the time to commit a crime because no one's going to be looking. That is not legal advice.
More than 15 minutes in a situation like this in a jail cell, of course not. But it does strike us, I think, that now that we're on our fourth one of these, that the system is holding. The system is still functioning. He is still putting up a bond.
Oh, really?
That's what Twitter says.
Oh, damn. Yeah, okay. That's an unhappy man.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, he really does apply a little bit too much of the bronzer, doesn't he?
A little bit too much.
It's just because you can just see it around the hairline. Just that little bit.
And his eyes. His eyes are always super white.
Oh,
It's a brand thing.
And it didn't take him long to post it online either. Yeah, I would be too, to be perfectly honest. It's everything I imagined it would be.
So here's his jail record detail and his bonds, surety bonds. So.
Oh, what's this chick saying? Apparently, Flux.
Yeah, so it's 200,000 surety bond.
Not the only one questioning 215 pounds. I actually don't know. I don't know that it would have been okay for him to smile. I mean, he could have either went with, like, the maniacal Joker smile, or, you know, does paying bond tell the courts if you're guilty or not? Absolutely not. Paying a bond so you can not be in jail has absolutely nothing to do with whether or not you are guilty or innocent. It is purely, here's the amount of money that we want you to put into trust to make sure you don't flee before you are charged. If you do not appear, you forfeit this amount of money, and you will be arrested, and a bench warrant will be issued for your arrest for you to come in for your trial. It's got nothing to do with whether or not he's guilty or not. It's purely he doesn't want to stay in jail until such time as they actually do the hearing, which I think you just mentioned would be, what, early October?
Yeah, is what they were saying. Spring of next year is what I heard before, but...
God. You guys effed up kind of smile. Witnessing history, not proud that it's happening, though. Well...
Mm-hmm.
Where are we? kind of wanting to listen to the NBC feed simply because they've got the chopper. I want to see whether or not there's
Yeah, go for it.
aerial photo of him. But this one's ABC.
Well, he's gotta have a hearing though, right? First. So it's
there will be a brief one. No, well, I mean, they were saying that it should only take 15-20 minutes for him to be in and out.
Okay.
So, get to the chopper. The Dems have opened the floodgate. We can only hope. Because as Trump said during the Tucker interview yesterday... Wait, was it yesterday or today your time? I can't remember. For me, it was last night.
Janice, I'm shooting as live.
Yesterday. Yep.
Yesterday. How the hell can they think that this is okay when all of a sudden it's going to be causing... I mean, Hillary Clinton's still contesting whether or not he won in 2020, isn't she? Like, she still makes questions about that. How the hell is it they're not enough for them to turn around and say, oh, by the way, we should put her in jail? This is so dangerous that it's not funny. And it's so much worse than I would have expected from what was once considered the greatest nation on the planet. I'm not saying you're not. I'm just saying some people may not see it that way anymore. Oh, here we go. Motorcade's moving.
Damn, that was quick then. Yeah, no, I think it would be... And there are more to come. There are more indictments coming down the pipe. So... supposedly.
2016. Sorry, people. I didn't have to pay attention to any of this prior to any of this shit happening. Just remember, half the country owns more registered firearms than the population of the entire nation, and that's just the registered ones. So there we go.
God, liberal Twitter is
Going nuts.
creamy.
I
Very
wouldn't be
creamy.
surprised. How bad is it that I'm sitting here watching this, and every second of this I'm expecting to hear a gunshot?
I am too. I am too. Okay, so Twitter's now, mind you, there are hundreds of these pictures. It says not the same tie as when he got off the plane. So on the mugshot.
Figure Australia and Canada are soon behind. Better believe Trudeau's plotting right now to arrest his opponents. It would not surprise me. I hold no, questioning about the ethics of Trudeau. I think that guy. I think he'd do it in a heartbeat. Honestly, I don't know. I would like to think we wouldn't put up with it. I don't think there's that political animus here. I don't think that. Because in terms of left and right wing political parties in America, it's very politically charged. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but in certain areas in America, if you advertise the fact that you're a Democrat or a Republican in certain very specific areas, just walking down the street, you can get punched. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, I would say there's a lot of tension and a lot of passion surrounding things.
Tension and passion. Thank you. That's a great way of putting it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Australians are complacent about our political system because, irrespective of which party's in power, they don't listen to the people anyway.
Yeah. So,
I don't know that they'd bother arresting their political opponents, but I sure as shit would hope it wouldn't come to it. Button Bella's ashamed of the country right now. Yeah, he thumbs up. Thumbs up. Just a massive campaign run for Trump, paid for by the US government.
Well, the media did it when he won in 2016, so if it works, repeat it.
Damn it, Mandy. Communist United National Team of States. There goes my monetization. They've already sentenced Jordan Peterson to re-education. I'd say that's already started. Yeah, and I'm going to look at that at some point in the next couple of days as well, because that is some bullshit.
You?
Alright. I think I'll just mute that, because I don't really care about what they've got to say on it.
Trump released from Georgia jail on $200,000 bond. Okay. And he's getting back on the plane and leaving. So.
Oh, speaking of that, given that there's some Kiwis in the audience, how do you feel about your outgoing Member of Parliament suggesting that New Zealand become a state of Australia? Not that we want yous, but how do you feel about it? Someone actually suggesting that in your Parliament. Yeah, let's give up our sovereignty and become a state of Australia. I thought that was hilarious. Oh. When you read the Peterson documents, it's a bit muddier than it sounds. Actually, that's a good point. We don't want you, New Zealand. In fact, you can have Tasmania too. That's a terrifying thought. Russia setting up American zones for refugees. After Jacinda Ardern, anything's an improvement. Fair. Very fair. Oh, good. Yeah. We know that a mugshot was taken. Like, why would you assume in any way, shape, or form that, like, oh, I guess they're done with it.
Huh.
So there you go. I mean, I'm looking at the other thing and it's still just footage of the car. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's
It's literally still that. So. Oh, good God.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple from here. He's going to go back to Florida and, you know, deal with it later. So.
Where are we? After arriving at the jail, Trump was expected to be fingerprinted, processed, and quickly released under the terms of a $200,000 bond agreement. His attorney struck with Willis's office this week. Date for arraignment is not yet announced. Trump's maintained he's not guilty of any wrongdoing and has accused Willis, a Democrat, of election interference for charging him since he's again running for president. That's a damn good point. Given this is politically motivated, how the hell is she not being charged?
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping Trump will make a speech. There is supposed to be an interview with Newsmax. I'm just waiting for that to come up, and then we'll pull that up and listen to that.
Oh, is that right after? Before he gets on the plane?
That's my understanding of, yeah, is that it was supposed to be straight after. Hang on. Interview. They're savage animals. Trump attacks the left in Tucker Carlson interview. No shit, you think? I do agree with people, though. I think he made the absolute right decision to skip the GOP debate and go on that interview. Like that, I did think that he sort of went around in circles on various things, but I do think that he spoke very well. He got his point across, and New Zealand Civil War, what are they going to do? Throw rocks at each other? Dude, I wouldn't want to be involved in the middle of a New Zealand Civil War. Like, that's still some terrifying shit. They may not have an army, an air force, or a navy, but they have big-ass sticks. Newsmax.
Yeah, I'm still not seeing.
Nah. That's alright. I'll probably move on to other stuff, and then if and when that shows up, I'll cover that. So it's up to you if you want to stick around, but otherwise I'm going to move on to a woman who had her boyfriend sign a rather ridiculous long-distance relationship agreement, because now I'm just filling time.
Yeah, no worries. I'm gonna go up and prep my show at this point,
Okay.
but I appreciate you having me on, buddy. And
No worries, thanks for joining in. I appreciate the additional commentary. Sent you the mugshot on Twitter. I'm pretty sure Marty brought it up, but that's fine. I'll have a look.
yeah, they're saying that's not correct, but I'm not seeing another one. I just went to Fulton County and I still don't see anything. So, yeah. So.
That's interesting. If
Do you have one?
Hang on. Sorry, I'm just reading through because someone said that they sent it to me, and I think that if it's the same message that's been sent to me in the last minute or so, the tweets have been taken down. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Oh, that's fine, because Twitter... Hashtag Trump mugshot currently has 151,000 posts.
And they're all that last one.
The Trump mugshot people are spreading around the internet right now is fake. No shit, you think?
Yep. I'm still not seeing an accurate one, though.
Well, I mean, there is this one. But that's still not... Yeah.
No, because they all have the badge in that upper left, all the other ones.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of how they do it. So.
The AI ain't great. No, this is true.
Yeah. But we'll get it eventually.
Oh, it'll be up there. It'll be absolutely up there eventually, so...
All right, buddy. Well, thanks for having me. Like I said, I'm going to jump off and start
no
prepping
worries.
for my show. Oh, I was going to throw my link. Damn it. Wait, you have mods, don't you?
Yeah. If anyone in the chat is a mod and knows how to, feel free to plug Marty's link. Plug his hole, people. You know he wants it.
Plug it. Plug it. No, yeah, join me. We covered a debate last night. I like to do political topics. I like to cover rocket launches, all that kind of stuff. So, I like to have fun over there. So, and thank you, sir, for having me. I enjoy it. So,
Not a problem. You're very welcome.
Enjoy your long distance relationship. So,
yeah, we'll get there. I've got a couple other things I'm going to cover first, but oh, that's a shit show.
all right, buddy.
All right, cheers.
Take care, man.
All right, so we're going to move on with this one first, which I think is complete BS. Preschool children in Sutherland Shire in Sydney have been forced to make sorry cards about Australia's colonisation by Europeans. A class of 4-year-old children were forced to make we're sorry cards about the colonisation of Australia by Europeans in what their families have slammed as indoctrination. Kim, a grandmother, told 2GB's Chris O'Keefe her twin grandchildren brought home sorry cards for National Sorry Day on May 26th from their preschool in Sutherland Shire in Sydney South. One card read, "Sorry for hurting you, sorry for hurting your land." The other card read, "Sorry for hurting the Dahawal people. We will be kind now." The cards were written by preschool teachers and then decorated by the kids. I probably would have too. However, the children weren't taught what the cards meant and were instead encouraged to discuss the history of Sorry Day with their parents. Kim said that the grandchildren were very upset and felt very guilty. frickin' 4-year-olds being made to feel sorry about something that happened generations ago that they had nothing to do with. I'm sorry, at some point, the healing has to actually come to a conclusion, and people need to get over themselves. Because we already know that there are people... I don't think there's... How many people alive today have actually been the ones that were hurt or injured? What the actual shit? Yeah. I'm afraid to make a card to myself. Didn't do anything. This is abuse. Well. This is nuts. I never want to heal. Too much profit comes out of it. Well, there is that too. As a grandma, I said, you've done nothing wrong. It's all in the past. You have nothing to worry about. You're kind little children. Imagine having to say that to your child because someone is telling them that they have to be sorry about something. Something that they had absolutely nothing to do with. A stick figure flogging itself with a rainbow in the distance. She said her son and daughter-in-law were not impressed by the lesson because it wasn't age-appropriate for a topic for preschoolers. It's something for them, the parents, to talk about, and they don't have to be indoctrinated at preschool. If this is what happens at preschool, I'm worried about what will happen next year at kinder. National Sorry Day is held every year on May 26 to remember children who were forcibly taken from their parents under Australia's assimilation policy, known as the Stolen Generations. Kim said, while it cannot be disputed that wrongs were committed, parents should have the chance to discuss historical injustice with their kids before it's taught in the classrooms. I'm shocked. It's certainly not for them, the teachers, to talk about these things. Clearly not in the way that they are. I mean, there's conversations to be had, quite obviously. But automatically going, oh yes, you must make a sorry card for something that you had absolutely nothing to do with. Yes, it's been happening in preschool. See you, Jacob. Don't know why we have to make our little children feel guilty for the sins of our fathers. It's nothing that they've done wrong. How Australia's colonial history is taught to young children has been hotly debated in recent weeks. Many people say that they don't believe young kids should be exposed to the overcomplicated and violent topic until they can properly understand it. Several worried mums and dads told O'Keefe how the current approach has failed. Love that. Abolish Australia. My children attended a beautiful little preschool. Both came home at different times saying that they'd learned that white men came here and took away Aboriginals' children, one parent said. They chopped down all the trees and poisoned the waterways, and then they asked me, why are all white men bad? Kids have come home from daycare and asked their parents, are all white men bad? One Indigenous family said their daughter learned about the Stolen Generations in Year 1 before they'd had a chance to talk to her about it. So even individuals that are from Indigenous cultures here in Australia are saying, why the hell is this being taught in kinder? She had to learn it at a very young age because her great-grandfather and grandmother were taken from their families, which is a horrible concept to teach to her at any point. And look, this does tie nicely into my issues with The Voice, because... Wait, I have... There we go. So, for anyone that doesn't know, later in October, Australia is going to go to the polls on a very specific question. A very simple, very straightforward... I can't even get through it because it's facetious to say it. Nothing about it is simple or straightforward. They want to amend the Australian Constitution to enshrine a voice to Indigenous Australians. Now, on the face value, that's all well and good. The trouble is that what is not happening is actual information being provided as to what the wording to be inserted into the Constitution is. But more to the point, we now know that certain styling of voting is being stacked. Mainly because the Australian Electoral Commission is going to be enforcing a rule that, yes, already exists, but should be changed. The Australian Electoral Commission is urging voice voters to write yes or no and say that crosses will not be counted. So you have to write yes or no in the box, but automatically, if you put a cross in the no box, it's going to be discarded. But guess what happens if you put a tick in the yes box? Voters in the upcoming Voice to Parliament referendum are being urged to write yes or no on referendum ballot papers and are being warned that if they use a cross, their vote may not be counted. The Australian Electral Commission has already said it will not be counted, so... But anyway. The well-established and long-standing rule, which will mean ticks are likely allowed but votes that use a cross are likely to be excluded, has prompted criticism from opposition leader Peter Dutton, former Prime Minister Tony Abbott, and the No campaign, which claims that the requirement will stack the deck against them. Yeah! The rule has been on the books without controversy for 30 years and 6 referendum questions, and when asked about ticks and crosses on Thursday, an Australian Electoral Commission spokesperson simply said, "Please don't use them." The formal voting instructions for the referendum are to clearly write yes or no in full in English. We expect the vast majority of voters to follow those instructions. Dude, there's a reason why in middle school we have classes on how to vote. It's literally, from a young age, you have to be taught that if you do it wrong, your vote will not be counted. You're really expecting individuals from every walks of life to follow a simple question. How dumb do you have to be? They want to amend the Australian Constitution to create a race-based parallel system, which will be used to create a separate ethno-state. Just my Irish 2 cents. That's pretty well a damn good way of putting it, frankly. So... let them choose. Live like the tribes before you bought the gifts of technology or join the Borg. Well, on the face value, it sounds like bullshit. Yeah. That's what you get for being a humanitarian in your colonising. I guess drawing a penis in both boxes is not going to count either. No, that's what we call a donkey vote. Hang on, where's my... There we go. That's better. The latest claims from the No campaign stem from an interview with Commissioner Tom Rogers that he gave to Sky News on Wednesday. The Electoral Commissioner explicitly said multiple times that voters should either write yes or no on the ballot paper, adding he was nervous of even talking about other options beyond that. He also said that well-established rules called savings provisions allow the AEC staff to count votes which do not strictly follow the instructions. It is likely that a Y or an N would be counted under the savings provisions, but I get nervous even talking about that because then people hear mixed messages. It's important to just write either yes or no on the ballot paper. It is likely that a tick will be accepted as a formal vote for yes, but a cross will not be accepted as a formal vote. So yeah, they're already saying that additional yes votes will more or less be automatically counted because a tick is acceptable when a cross is not. Borg Lives Matter. The claims were leapt upon by Fair Australia, the referendum no campaign from conservative group Advance, as well as Dutton and Abbott. Fair Australia tweeted, "Looks like just another attempt to stack the deck against no voting Australians." Abbott claimed on 2GB that there's a suspicion that officialdom is trying to make it easier for one side. This is the worry all along, that there is a lot of official bias in the whole referendum process. Dutton's also speaking on 2GB, called it completely outrageous and claimed the situation gives a very, very strong advantage to the yes case. Because here's the thing. If you say no to something on a ballot paper, and I'll bring up the ballot paper in a second so you can see what it looks like, because I tweeted out about it. If you've got 2 boxes, one of which says yes and the other says no, what is your natural inclination? If you've got a box that literally has the word yes next to it, are you going to write yes again? What about no? Are you going to write no in there again? There are going to be so many people that aren't going to bother reading the instructions that they're just going to sit there. And there will more than likely be people that write an X in the box. Because, they're trying to emphatically say, no, we don't want this. What about a tick in the no box? Well, apparently that may be considered. The opposition leader said he would ask the government to draft legislation to change the rule. Yeah, that ain't going to happen, especially not in time. The coalition opposition did not propose amending this rule during the debate on the Referendum Machinery Act earlier this year and supported the government's legislation. A government source called Dutton's claims fantasy, noting that the same voting rules applied at federal elections. Yeah, but at a federal election, you're not being asked a yes or no question. At a federal election, you are being asked to number between 1 and 30 below the line, or to pick a party between 1 and 10 above the line. So that's really a disingenuous argument. The AEC says the rule has been in place for 30 years since 1988, and that the rules about savings provisions have been in place for 6 referendums since then. The AEC also said that the 1990 referendum, only 0.86% of votes were classed as informal, and only a portion of those related to ticks and crosses on the ballot. Yes, but let's look at the demographics over the last... Oh, we're almost talking 25 years. Do you honestly believe that the demographics of Australia have not changed in the last 25 years? How far do you have to have your head up your ass before realising that certain individuals are going to be illiterate, certain individuals are going to be uneducated, certain individuals are not going to give a shit at all? The ballot paper given to Australians will clearly tell voters right yes or no on 2 separate occasions. Yeah. And what happens if English is not their first language? What happens if they can't read or write English at all? The formality rules for referendums have been the same for a long period of time. Savings provisions exist for federal elections as well. The AEC does not have any discretion to simply ignore savings provisions. They're a long-standing legislative requirement. The AEC's accepted legal advice regarding the application of the savings provisions to ticks and crosses since 1988, over 30 years of multiple referendums, remains the same. This is not new. Just because it's the way that it's always been done does not mean that it should not be changed. The spokesperson said other responses on the ballot paper were not guaranteed to be counted, including ticks and crosses. The issue with the cross is that on many forms people in Australia use in daily life, and in some other languages it represents a check mark indicating yes. It therefore leaves it open to interpretation or challenge by a scrutineer. A tick would also be open to interpretation and may not count depending on just how clear that mark is on the ballot paper. The same issue exists for whether it is the letter yes or no. Y or N. If the handwriting makes it unclear, it could risk being an informal vote. It's also important to note that the counting process is highly transparent. Scrutineers from both sides of the debate will be able to be present during the count to observe the process. If you walked into a bank for a $1,000 loan and gave them the level of detail the Voice campaign the government has given the people, the bank would say no. The Voice is so illusionary it wouldn't fly in contract law. Can you abstain from voting? Look, you have to show up to vote. You can abstain from the vote, but you have to have your name ticked off. Because everyone gets a say. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Could be a nice way of doing it. Hang on, let me bring up the... Shit, where did I go? Where are my posts? There it is. Okay. Bring that over here and share that. Okay. So I posted I put this out a couple of days ago, and surprise, surprise, it's had all of 300 views, because it's not as if certain things are being suppressed at all. I'm against the Voice for a number of reasons, chief amongst which is that it's inherently divisive and, in my opinion, is the opposite of the desired outcome. But the wording of the proposal causes me a good deal of pause. As expected on the ballot paper, there's just enough room for the question and nothing about the proposed wording to be inserted. Here's the issue with what I have, because number 1 and number 2 basically just say that there will be a voice to Parliament. Number 3 says that the Parliament shall, subject to the Constitution, have the power to make laws with respect to matters relating to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice, including its composition, functions, powers, and procedures. If it's an advisory body, why does it need to have powers at all? That wording could be entirely revamped. When the government of the day can delegate, add or remove powers from unelected officials, irrespective of the narrative being portrayed, it is not an advisory committee. It is another opportunity for unchecked government power to be weaponised without scrutiny, and it's not what's being promised to Indigenous Australians either. Now here, this is an example of what the ballot paper is going to look like. So, it's literally Directions, right, yes, no, and then they're going to have the question there, which is basically, do you approve of a constitutional amendment to give Aboriginal Australians a voice into Parliament? That's that's more or less paraphrasing the question. And it's, do you approve of this proposed alteration? Yes or no? I personally believe that question is loaded with bias anyway. I believe that it should be, do you agree with this proposed alteration, not whether or not you approve it. Wait, did I misspell something in there? Thank you for pointing that out, but I'll have a look. Why isn't it multiple choice? Mainly because they're worried about people making the wrong choice. What did Margaret Thatcher say? Socialists don't like people making choices because they might not choose socialism. It's not the opposite of the desired outcome, it's the opposite of the stated outcome. It will result in exactly the desired outcome. Not for the Aboriginals, it won't. Will result in exactly the desired outcome, which is a sedition and destruction of the Australian federal state. The wording makes it sound like if you say no, you want to suppress voices. Yes, and they've done that extraordinarily deliberately, man. That is exactly what they've done. I'm not okay with the way that this has been worded. Where did I say that? Anyway, doesn't matter. So yeah, there was that. The other thing that I wanted to bring up, I'm just going to remove this for a second because I don't really want to have to go through all of my bookmarks on stream, because there was a video that was put out this morning by some Indigenous Australians that I wanted to share. Because even they're turning around and saying, we don't want this.
First, it was a campaign called You, Me, Unity, which was the national conversation about Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander constitutional recognition, which they presented the idea to convince people it was about preserving Indigenous languages in the Constitution. That conversation failed. Then it was rebranded to the Recognise campaign. That came at another angle, which they sold as an anti-discrimination campaign against racism and how the Australian Constitution still have racial powers in it. That conversation failed to get Indigenous consent. So then the Referendum Council ran the national dialogues, which led to the creation of Statement from the Heart, where they pitched to the Indigenous delegates who attended the Uluru Convention in 2017 to get consent from them to run the referendum on constitutional recognition, which some of the delegates consented to, through the endorsement of the Statement from the Heart, which people like Thomas Mayo, who signed the statement, has been saying that it was a national consensus when it's not. Because so many Aboriginal people can see through the scam, and we know what it is, and we don't want constitutional recognition. I'm not convinced that they are a grassroots movement, so don't forget to vote No You Mob to constitutional reform.
So there you go. You'll have to print all the signs in English and Bushman clicks. Oh, that's not racist at all. Not that I could really care. They did finally give us a vote for first past the first person, not the party. Worded Trudeau would win, can control either way. Ugh. Don't they already have a voice in Parliament voted in? Lydia Thorpe, yuck, and they're already recognised in the Constitution. Well, there is that too. Hang on, there was something that was there that I missed. Sorry, there was something that I... Embrace the racism, it's the only way out. So yeah, look, for anyone that hasn't seen it, I did a very good breakdown of the actual voice, the wording, the legislative requirements that are going in there. The too long didn't read basically boils down to this. It is enshrining racism in the Constitution of Australia. It is providing certain amounts of unfettered power to an unelected area of government. And a good chunk of the Aborigines themselves don't even want it. So let's have a look at what the actual underlying cause of this is. Who is going to be making money off of this? Because clearly there's a reason for it. There's a reason why certain individuals are pushing it, and there's a reason why people are going for this so hard. So. But anyway. Alright. Oh, okay. Looks like they're moving things up there. Hang on, where is... Shit, now I've lost the last... Oh, hang on. Oh, we didn't talk about the raccoon. A raccoon has broken into a Wisconsin church. Services were cancelled at a Wisconsin church when a pastor arrived at the facility and discovered it was being ransacked by a masked burglar. A raccoon. Ingrid Durr said she arrived at Chosen Generation Outreach Mission in Milwaukee, to prepare for Thursday evening service when she found signs of a break-in. Wow, that is way too big. Hang on. She said, oh, somebody's been thrown in a brick here or something, she said to WITI-TV. Durr said she used the phone to access security camera footage and quickly identified the culprit. I'm looking through my phone and my footage and everything around the building, and that's when I saw this little rascal on the table. I saw it walk away, seen the long tail, and I said, that's a raccoon! That's a raccoon. The pastor enlisted the help of some neighbours to eject the furry trespasser, but the animal had displaced ceiling tiles and trashed her office. Thursday night services were cancelled while the church was cleaned up, and a crew was called to make sure the raccoon didn't have any friends in the building. Raccoons have been known to end up in places that they shouldn't have been while searching for food or shelter in the past, with recent incidents including a raccoon that fell through the ceiling into a press box in the Utah at a Utah soccer field, and another that showed up at a baggage carousel in the Philadelphia International Airport. Hopefully I'm not going to get copy struck for this.
A culprit caught on camera. A pastor got a surprise watching over security footage at her Milwaukee church.
Madeline O'Neill is in
Just
the studio
show the
with
damn
details
footage.
on the bandits break-in.
In it to break it,
Pastor Ingrid Durr says she thought a brick broke this window
but that wasn't the case.
at a church where everyone is welcome. Nearly.
That's the only one that's not welcome, the raccoon.
Outside Chosen Generation Outreach Ministry, Durr says she's seen a family of raccoons.
They climbed up that tree right there.
She just didn't expect to see one.
That's what I call him. I think it's a little rascal. This little rascal running around.
Running around inside her church.
I'm looking through my phone, my footage and everything around the building, and that's when I see this little rascal on the table.
It seems the bandit's mask wasn't enough to hide its identity.
So I'm walk away, see the long tail. I said, that's a raccoon.
The raccoon was in the church's dining room, caught red-pawed.
Wow, he really did a thing in here.
Durr recruited some neighborhood help to make sure Rascal left the church,
I believe it's a beacon of light here.
which is also a potential beacon for what raccoons love most.
He's probably looking for food, and I hope he didn't open the refrigerator.
I see his little head sticking out somewhere if he's in here.
Knocking down ceiling tiles and leaving a general mess. This raccoon may have overstayed its welcome.
Office is still whack. But at least I know what it was now. It was still a rascal running around.
Oh, jeez.
So if this ever happens to you, the city of Milwaukee's website says they
If it ever happens to you, stay away and call animal control. It's not really that, doesn't take a genius. Alright, and finally today, we have a US couple dividing the internet with their long-distance relationship contract. This shit is whack. Now, relationship agreements are nothing new. They've been around for a significant period of time. You can go to websites like eForms, where you can download your own copy of a contract, which includes things like exclusivity, living arrangements, income, bank accounts, personal needs, termination of the relationship, and things like liability and mutual respect. Kind of feel like if you need this in writing, you may have slightly bigger issues. But I can kind of more understand it when it comes to, say, a long-distance relationship. This couple, however, took it to the nth degree, or at least she did. An American couple has divided the internet after revealing they'd drawn up a lengthy contract for their long-distance relationship, entitling them to sue each other if either party acted outside of it. Yeah. In a since-deleted TikTok video that amassed a whopping 1.8 million views, Devon Motley shared the mammoth document detailing a list of rules to abide by while living apart from her boyfriend. Point of view, you and your boyfriend write a contract so that if anything goes wrong, you can sue each other, she captioned the clip, along with footage of him signing the paperwork. Apparently, the pair are a big fan of the TV show Suits. Judging by the size of the thing, they've probably taken their enthusiasm for the legal drama too far. She just sounds controlling. Yeah. Oh, wrong thing. Wait till you hear some of the terms, because people were able to take screenshots and zoom in and see exactly what they were talking about. And some of the shit. This chick's got problems. Mind you, he's not much better for agreeing to it anyway. By signing this agreement, you acknowledge the following terms. The so-called long-distance agreement reads: neither party is allowed to end the relationship before 1 September 2024 unless there's a breach of one of the violations listed below. Dude has literally signed himself on for almost 12 months unless there's a breach. Pinch and zoom, pretty much. I can't read all of that, but anyway. Violation 16, cheating, including but not limited to sleeping with someone of the opposite sex, having any sexual contact with the opposite sex, messaging or calling the opposite sex with sexual innuendos or ill intent. The lawyer in me spotted the loophole in that almost instantly. If this dude just happens to turn gay, he's perfectly fine. Oh my lord, this is why men eat bullets. Violation 17. Slander against either party, including in this contract. Complaining about your relationship, speaking poorly about your partner, etc. I don't see any exemptions for going to therapy. Violation 18. Neglect of participating party's emotional or physical state. Therefore, a lack of reassurance would be considered a violation under this. Ah, yes, the D-sucking loophole. Or if he becomes a woman. That'll be interesting. I wonder whether or not they've included in there what happens if one party transitions. I love this. A lack of reassurance would be considered a violation. This, to me, sounds like it's incredibly easy for her to get out of. Just saying. The contract continues that both Motley and Garthright are required to do the following. All issues with the opposite party are required to be brought to the attention of the party in question. So if she has an issue with him, she is legally required to bring it up with him. And he knows damn well that if he raises anything with her, he's getting the cold shoulder treatment and no nudes. So, speaking poorly about your partner, wow, so he's only allowed to say positive things about her? Yeah. Arguments must result in a resolution, apology, and closing action of affection. Long distance will require a gift of some sort to be ordered to each party's home. Is that mutual, or does he just have to order her a gift every time they have an argument? That's some vague wording. The lawyer in me is going, cha-ching. Location must always be turned on. Location must always be turned on. That's not stalkerish at all. But more to the point, what happens if he's on low battery? He has to choose between making a life-saving call or having his location turned on so that she can see where he is without knowing that there's anything wrong. I'm sorry, bitch. If it comes to it, I'm sending out an SOS and turning off location. Every call seen must be answered. Now, again, that's very friggin' vague. It doesn't specifically say that it must be every call from each party must be answered. It's literally, oh, if someone calls you and you don't pick up, you're in violation of this agreement. Scratch that, sever it from the contract for vagueness. We must call at least once every day, keeping continuous contact throughout the day. Bitch, what if he's in a different time zone? I'm sorry, what is classed as continuous contact throughout the day? I mean, is it literally he has to send a text message at least once an hour for 24 hours every single day? Dude, there are scheduling apps for that. Save yourself some time. Just saying. Always give extra reassurance. Among the many things bestowed upon us by the Barbie movie is a concept of the long-term, long-distance, low-commitment, casual girlfriend. Whatever Motley and Garthright are doing sounds like the literal opposite, even if the document isn't notarized and therefore not legally binding. Before the clip was... See, that doesn't apply here in Australia. Legal notary is not something necessarily here. He has relationships with women but sex with men. Does that make him gay? Generation should be defined by characteristics rather than letters. Before the clip was taken down, viewers flooded the comments, split over whether or not the couple's contract was genuine or deranged. Sorry, genius or deranged. Incredible, I wish I did this, one wrote. Upload the document so I can use it, demanded another. Girl, I'm going to need this, said a third. These are all massive red flags. Gentlemen, run in the other fucking direction. Because I guarantee this was not a bloke that was saying this. Okay? I guarantee it. Others rightfully said that the agreement was insane. I mean, this is so extra to me because if you have a good partner, this should not be needed, one pointed out. The location one is insane, while a third person labelled it as psychotic behaviour. If you do find yourself seeking a bit of extra admin in your own relationship, whether you or your partner are a country or merely a suburb apart, fear not. Motley is selling the long-distance relationship contract online, starting at just 99 cents US. I'm tempted to buy it simply so that I can go through it and work out exactly what the hell is going on in this in this woman's brain. The mugshot's out. Hang on, let me have a look. I mean, it's going to come out eventually, but I mean, there's going to be so many fakes of it that it's not funny. Have they updated that one? Nope, that's just everybody else's mugshots. I'm sure that's going to be one of those things that... purported Trump mugshot circulating widely was fabricated. Arrested in Georgia on racketeering. Because we know what we know about the process. See, the trouble is I'm not going to trust anything on Twitter. I'm just not. Oh, there's now an extra 22,000. Yeah, see, that's the same one as before. And all they've done is add a fake, like, police badge thing on the wall behind, so... Yeah, there's so many fakes out there, so... What the fuck? Some people have got nothing better to do with their life. Just noticed how good Hayden's public speaking skills are. Eye contact with the camera doesn't come naturally. No, but what it does come with is NVIDIA Broadcast and their beta of eye contact. It's AI generated, people. My public speaking is not that great. That's part of the reason why I do this. So, but anyway. Why should you not trust anything on Twitter? What are you, some kind of conspiracy theorist? No, I'm just a realist. So, but anyway, guys, I'm probably going to call it there. Mighty will be doing his show later on today. There's plenty of other people to enjoy their content with as well. There will more than likely be an after party tonight. I've yet to decide whether or not we will be watching a Lingerie Fantasy League game or if we'll be finding something else fun where I can just sit back, have a few drinks, and talk to people. For anyone that is coming in and missed it earlier on, just so you're aware, starting from the 1st of September, I will be tallying up who the strongest super chatters are, and each month they will be receiving an invite from me to have personalised virtual drinks. Just so that we can sit and chat and get to know everyone a little bit better. But, as always, guys, please remember, stay healthy, wealthy, and wise. And you are not a piece of shit. You do have value and you do contribute to society. Especially by being here, hitting that like button, sending me super chats or super thanks if you're watching this on the replay. And fuck this shit, I'm out, people. Love you all, and I shall talk to you tomorrow. Cheers, guys.
This shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.